Hello, narrative writers. It is time for another example. And so we're going to read the story written that is entitled Montenegro on page 14. Again, click on A Trip to Remember and A Trip to Remember if you'd like to read it yourself. As we read this story, our next slide is going to be talking about capitalizing proper nouns. So please be on the lookout for proper nouns. Those are specific nouns, and we need capital letters for those proper nouns. Remember, a noun is a person, place, thing, or idea. And if there's a specific person, place, thing, or idea, it gets a capital letter. Like your name, you are a specific person, and so you get a capital letter because you are awesome. You deserve a capital letter. So click on the link and you can read this story. Otherwise, listen as I read along. Montenegro. And again, we have a caption along with our picture. This is my dad's house in Montenegro. My family is from Montenegro, a tiny country in Europe. Wait a minute. We have two capital letters in the middle of the sentence. Montenegro, that is a town, and a country that is, or Montenegro is a country in the continent of Europe. So Montenegro, country, continent, Europe, very specific. They get capital letters, proper nouns. It is on the Adriatic Sea. Again, Adriatic Sea, not just a sea. If it's just a sea, it's lowercase s, but it's the Adriatic Sea, so it is capitalized across from Italy. Again, another specific proper noun country. 3 years ago, and we capitalized three just because it's the start of a sentence. When I was 8, I went there for the first time. I had no friends there, so I did not have such a good time. Again, we're seeing lots of the word I because it is in first person. This past summer, though, I went back and I had a blast. I guess it's because I understood more about my family's roots. I got a better feel for my family's Albanian heritage. Also, I got to connect with my family. We stayed in a house right next to the beach. This was a special place. My father built the house with his brother and his father. Now, brother and father are not capitalized because it's not saying the names of the brother and the father. He was so proud and happy, showing me all the work he did. The house is in the city of, this is a tough word, so I'm going to go here of the pronunciation key. Ulcin, in the city of Ulcin. Again, city is not capitalized, but Ulcin is because that is the name of the city. It has a beach that is 12 miles long. It is a resort town, so there are lots to do. Swimming, water slides, sun tanning. Yet most fun was a volleyball game that my dad, sister, and I made up. Since we were on vacation, we ate in some restaurants, but the best meal was when my mom cooked goulash. This is a typical Albanian, and again, that's the country, meal of meat, peas, and mashed potatoes. I would love that. I love all three of those. I don't know why it tastes better there. My mom said it's because the food is fresher. We visited with aunts, uncles, and cousins. I also met with some new relatives. We listened to Albanian folk songs and cracked jokes about our culture. The adults talked about their country and the good old days. I learned that when my father was a teenager, and even older, he made a living selling watermelon to people on the beach. I visited, in a way, with some of the other relatives I had never met. My grandparents, my dad took me to their graves. He cried. I cried too. I was sad because they died before I was born. Remember we talked earlier about sharing and if we wanted people to read it. This is something that this author definitely wanted to share, but you as an author may or may not want to. So that's why we did the checklist earlier. I think it's really important that they shared this because it adds more feelings to our story. My dad and I spent a lot of time together on that trip. We swam and we ate in the local restaurants. He took me to a famous spa. Most of all, we talked. At home, we don't have much time together. During our trip, I found that I could talk to him about anything. Now, when I think of Montenegro, all I can say is, "Oh, Savidi Bukor." Notice that's has quotation marks around it because that's exactly what he says, which means, "What a wonderful place!" Again, quotation marks, because that is dialogue, words that the author actually says. Me with my dad, sis, and mom. What a great story. I'm so happy that you got to read that with me.